Did you ever think the story of Tupac truly ended that night in Las Vegas? Because now, newly uncovered footage from his funeral is shaking the entire narrative. What that camera caught wasn't closure at all. It was a hidden clue sitting right in front of us the whole time. A clue that might finally reveal what really happened that night.
The 14 seconds that shook hip-hop.
In 2025, almost 30 years after Tupac Shakur's death, the internet was shaken to its core once again. A grainy low-lit clip suddenly surfaced online, just a few seconds long, but impossible to ignore. It appeared to show Tupac's body at some kind of private viewing. The timing, the shadows, the faces in the background, all of it pointed to something unbelievable. A hidden ceremony, one that was never documented, never acknowledged, and one that completely contradicts the official story about his cremation and public memorials. Some fans immediately called it the most haunting 14 seconds in hip-hop history. Others went further, calling it proof. But to understand why this tiny piece of footage has reopened a decades-old wound, you have to go back to where the mystery began, to the night the legend was silenced, and to the people who witnessed what happened behind those hospital doors. Long before talk of ashes or conspiracies ever began, Tupac Amaru Shakur, rapper, poet, revolutionary, movie star, was shot on September 7, 1996. During a Las Vegas drive-by, just moments after a confrontation inside the MGM Grand, he and Suge Knight had flown in to watch the Mike Tyson fight. The plan was simple: celebrate, show face, then head back to Los Angeles. But the night unraveled in minutes. According to eyewitness reports and police documents, Tupac and Suge were sitting at a red light on Flamingo and Koval when a white Cadillac rolled up beside their BMW. 13 rounds exploded into the air. 4 struck Tupac, 2 in the chest, 1 in the arm, 1 in the thigh. Suge was grazed. By 11:20 p.m., Tupac was being rushed to University Medical Center in critical condition. He would never walk out alive.
So we jumped in a cab. She called Yasmin and the assistant Molly, and Yasmin didn't know what was going on because it went to voicemail of Pac's phone.
But that's not the part of the story Gobi M. Rahim remembers. Gobi wasn't just some filmmaker on the payroll, he was Tupac's creative partner, the man who helped shape the visual world around Pac's music. He directed the videos that built Pac's iconography. California Love, Hit 'Em Up, 2 of America's Most Wanted. He was in the room for the chaos, behind the camera for the history, and on the ground the night everything changed. More importantly, he was one of the first people from Pac's inner circle to make it to the hospital. He recalls the moment everything shifted. Yasmin made a couple of frantic calls, then rang back saying, "Go to University Hospital. Stay there until we arrive." So Gobi and Tracy sped straight to University Medical Center. No hesitation. When they pushed through the ER waiting room doors, the scene was nothing like what the world imagines now. There were no reporters fighting for angles, no detectives flooding the hall, just quiet panic. Inside were David Kenner, Suge Knight's mother and father, Reggie Wright, a few other death row affiliates, and Khadija Jones, Pac's fiancée, crying into a payphone with Jamala beside her. Gobi says when he stepped through those glass doors, everything stopped. He stood shoulder to shoulder with Suge's parents, with Ofani Shakur's close assistants, with Khadija, who could barely hold herself together. Everyone was waiting for one thing: information. Minutes later, a nurse finally appeared.
His right lung was shot out, so we had to remove his right lung. And for the next 12 hours, he's going to go through a series of reparative operations.
The nurse's voice was calm, almost emotionless, but it couldn't disguise what she was really saying. Tupac's body was shattered. The surgery that followed was nothing short of brutal. Doctors removed his right lung, repaired the damage in his chest, and kept adjusting the ventilator hour by hour as his vitals continued to slip. Still, in those first nights, there was a thin thread of hope. Gobi stayed close. The Outlaws, Pac's closest brothers-in-arms, rotated around the clock. They took turns keeping watch, barely sleeping. Some nights they literally stood guard at the hospital doors themselves, afraid that whoever pulled the trigger might try to come back and finish what they started.
We did 6 nights, and the 6 nights I was there were death threats, undercover FBI agents, a police force that did not want to cooperate.
What Gobi describes as pure chaos. Unmarked vehicles lined the street. Hospital security was stretched to its limit, and unfamiliar faces appeared in the hallways, asking questions no one wanted to answer. By the 5th night, the Fruit of Islam, the paramilitary branch of the Nation of Islam, had taken control of security. That's how tense the environment had become. Then, on September 13, 1996, at 4:03 p.m., Tupac was declared dead. Official records state that the next day, September 14th, he was cremated at the request of his mother, Ofani Shakur. There was no public viewing, no coffin, no gravesite, only a private gathering on a Malibu beach, complete with bonfires, drumming, and the scattering of ashes into the Pacific Ocean. Ofani wanted to protect her. son's body from public display or exploitation. Reports from the Shakur family and death row insiders confirm that the cremation was immediate, supervised, and private. Yet something about that timeline has always been questionable. No mortuary ever confirmed handling Tupac's body prior to the alleged cremation, and the crematory worker reportedly responsible vanished shortly afterward. Decades later, a leaked clip surfaced, showing what appears to be an open casket, Tupac's body clearly marked with his facial features and tattoos, surrounded by candles and a small number of mourners. If authentic, it suggests the world may have been told only part of the story. To understand why this footage is so controversial, one must consider how tightly the Shakur family controlled Tupac's final arrangements. According to official records, the sequence was as follows. September 13th, death declared at UMC. September 14th, private cremation in Los Angeles. September 15th to 16th, private memorial on a secluded Malibu beach. September 22nd, public ceremony in Harlem organized by the Nation of Islam. There is no mention of a viewing, a funeral home, or cameras. Yet the new footage, believed to be filmed in a small Los Angeles mortuary, contradicts this account. The arrangement of candles matches the style of Angela's funeral home, where Tupac's body was reportedly taken briefly before cremation. Angeles has long denied that any recording was ever made inside, but rumors persisted. In the late 1990s, some claimed death row members had privately viewed Tupac's body before cremation, some out of grief, some out of suspicion. A few even said the face they saw didn't look like his. Now, those whispers collide with visual evidence. For years, fans believed Tupac's story ended at the beach memorial, where friends scattered ashes, smoked cigars, and played his music under the Malibu sky. Accounts describe 30 to 50 people present, including Tupac Shakur, The Outlaws, Jada Pinkett Smith, and Snoop Dogg. Some mentioned drums and sage smoke, others laughter amid tears. That night gave birth to one of hip-hop's most notorious myths, the Ash story. Outlaws, including Young, Noble, and Idi Mean, later admitted to mixing Tupac's ashes with marijuana, claiming it was a final tribute inspired by his lyric, "Cremated, last wishes, smoke my ashes." They confirmed this repeatedly, including interviews in 2024, framing it as a grief ritual. Afeni Shakur's family, however, called the act unauthorized and disrespectful. If the leaked clip is authentic, it raises a disturbing question. How could the ashes have been smoked if the body hadn't yet been cremated? The video is timestamped September 14, 1996. The same day the cremation supposedly took place. Experts analyzing it note that the room's lighting and decor match early 90s mortuary styles in Los Angeles. A silk cloth covers the lower body, and visible tattoos, including the Machiavelli and outlaw markings, align with autopsy photos released years later. But there's a complication. The scars on the chest do not match the official autopsy, which documented a 3-inch incision from emergency surgery. In the clip, the chest appears smooth, without blemishes, suggesting either the footage was staged or the body was cosmetically prepared for viewing, implying a mortuary was involved and a viewing actually took place. The last 24 hours. September 7, 1996. Las Vegas glowed under the desert heat, alive with anticipation. Mike Tyson was back in the ring. Death row records filled the arena, and Tupac Shakur was alive, loud, and laughing. By midnight, he would be bleeding in the passenger seat of a BMW, gasping for life as chaos consumed the strip. Every moment of that night has been analyzed. Yet even decades later, the timeline doesn't fully add up. The day had begun as a celebration. Tupac awoke late in his Luxor hotel suite with his fiancée, Kidada Jones, daughter of Quincy Jones and half-sister to Rashida. The room smelled of cigarette smoke and sandalwood, his ritual before major appearances. Around 2 p.m., he called Suge Knight. They were to meet at MGM Grand by 7 p.m. Tupac wanted to watch Tyson knock out Bruce Seldon, with Tyson promising to enter the ring to Can't See Me from All Eyes on Me. By then, tension with Death Row Records had already reached a boiling point. Filmmaker and insider Gobi Rahim revealed that Tupac had fired his Death Row legal team just 2 weeks prior, including attorney David Kenner and security chief Reggie Wright Jr.
And it was that day, a couple of weeks before Vegas, that he fired David Kenner and his legal team. And I believe he fired Reggie Wright and Right Way either the same day or the day after. And it was obvious. He was ready. Pac was ready to fly the coop.
By the time Tupac arrived in Las Vegas, he was effectively on his own. Without official protection, the bodyguards assigned by Death Row were loyal to Suge Knight, not him. In the weeks leading up to September 7th, Knight had been pressuring Tupac to stay in line, keep recording, and prioritize loyalty over freedom. When Tupac and Suge entered the MGM Grand around 8:30 p.m., Tyson's fight lasted only 2 minutes. The crowd erupted, cameras flashed, and near the lobby elevators, one of Suge's men, Trevon Trey D. Lane, spotted Orlando Baby Lane Anderson, a known Crip from Compton. Weeks earlier, Anderson had robbed a death row associate, taking a medallion that symbolized the mob Piru Bloods. That theft became a line in the sand one Tupac refused to ignore. He confronted Anderson, asking, "You from the South Side?" before striking him. Within seconds, Suga and others joined in, stomping Anderson as casino surveillance silently recorded the scene. The entire scuffle lasted roughly 13 seconds, but sealed Tupac's fate. Hotel security intervened, separating the groups, but no arrests were made. Anderson left the MGM humiliated, swearing revenge. Tupac and Suga left, grinning, confident they had handled the situation. Back at the Luxor, Tupac changed out of his black vest into a white tank top, gold chains gleaming across his chest. Kadada urged him not to go back out, but Suga was hosting an after-party at Club 662 Death Row's venue on East Flamingo. "I'll just roll through, say what's up," Tupac told her, though he reportedly sensed something ominous in the air. Gobi described it as tension, a feeling Tupac himself was drawn toward, but went out of obligation. At 10:30 p.m., they departed the Luxor in a black BMW 7550 Il Sedansaga, driving Tupac in the front passenger seat. Several cars behind were filled with Outlaws members and Death Row affiliates. Their plan was to head east to Club 662, but the strip was alive, crowds flooding the streets, traffic gridlocked. Around 11:05 p.m., a white Cadillac carrying a group of women pulled alongside the BMW, laughter and shouts filling the air. Tupac smiled, flirting and flashing his ring, a moment that now feels haunting in hindsight. Just blocks later, at the intersection of Flamingo Road and Coville Lane, everything ended. Witnesses describe it as sudden, almost clinical. A white Cadillac separate from the one with the women pulled up on the right. A window rolled down, and a .40 caliber Glock unleashed 13 to 15 rounds. 4 bullets struck Tupac, 2 in the chest, 1 in the arm, 1 in the thigh. Suga was grazed, his head bleeding. The BMW lurched, swerving through traffic and hitting the curb on Harmon Avenue. Suga somehow regained control, completing a U-turn before police arrived. By 11:20 p.m., paramedics reached the scene. The ambulance sped through the Vegas night toward University Medical Center, lights cutting through the desert darkness. Tupac was unconscious, bleeding heavily, his pulse weak. Surgeons immediately placed him in trauma surgery, removing bullets, stitching arteries, and placing him on a ventilator. For 6 days, according to Clark County coroner records, Tupac underwent 3 major surgeries, including removal of his right lung, and was kept in a medically induced coma. Outside the hospital, the scene was no less tense. Gobi Rahim arrived within an hour of the shooting. The ER waiting room became a battleground of Allegiance's Suga's team on one side, Tupac's family and friends on the other. Tupac Shakur arrived the following morning, her presence shifting panic into defiance. Having witnessed so much death in the movement, she was determined her son would not become another statistic. As the hours dragged on, hope wavered. Doctors reported moments of stabilization, followed by severe complications: blood loss, collapsed lungs, infections. On the 6th day, the Fruit of Islam arrived, armed and suited, guarding the halls like a military unit. Hours later, while Gobi drove through the California desert toward a video set, a radio DJ broke the silence. Tupac Shakur had died in Las Vegas at 4:03 p.m.
The desert seemed emptier than ever. The official cause: respiratory failure and cardiac arrest from multiple gunshot wounds. Yet contradictions quickly surfaced. Gobi recalled a nurse telling him that same morning Tupac was 13% improved. Not fully recovered, but showing signs of progress. What changed in those hours? Some insiders speculate Tupac's removal from life support wasn't strictly medical. It may have been influenced by fears of further violence. Tupac Shakur reportedly instructed doctors not to prolong suffering, while other sources claimed heated disputes erupted among family, physicians, and death row staff. Suge Knight later told Vibe magazine that Tupac had been joking and talking shortly before his death, though medical records indicate he never regained full consciousness. No independent witness outside death row or UMC staff has confirmed what truly happened in the ICU. And there remains the mysterious gap between 4:03 p.m. and 7 p.m. Official death announcements came hours later, after the body had already been moved from trauma. Hospital staff were reportedly ordered not to speak to the press until cleared by family and label representatives. Many believe it was during this window that the now-leaked funeral footage was secretly recorded. The night Tupac died didn't just claim a life, it fractured history. For nearly 30 years, that fracture widened with every rumor, every contradictory statement, every new discovery that seemed to rewrite what we thought we knew. But now, the evidence isn't coming from a lyric, a theory, or a whispered sighting. It comes from a camera. The alleged funeral footage, verified to have been recorded on analog tape using a 1990 Sony camcorder, forces a full reassessment of September 13th to 14th, 1996. What it shows could only exist in a controlled space. No fans, no press, no chaos, just a faint candle flicker and a body that should not have been there. If authentic, this clip presents two possibilities. Either the official cremation story is false, or someone defied Afeni Shakur's explicit instructions and filmed her son illegally. University Medical Center went into immediate lockdown after 4:03 p.m. The trauma ward logs show access limited to family, 2 death row representatives, and attending physicians. Yet transfer records released years later list an unidentified F. James Media, a name no journalist has ever claimed. Digital restoration experts analyzing the clip in 2025 detected a subtle reflection in a glass cabinet. Zoomed and color-corrected, it revealed a man in scrubs holding a shoulder-mounted camera, equipment typical of professional documentarians in the mid-1990s. The implication is chilling. Someone inside the hospital recorded the body. But why? Gobi Rahim's testimony shows he was present nearly every day Tupac survived after the shooting. During that time, strangers reportedly entered posing as staff or investigators. By the end, hospital security had shifted from law enforcement to the fruit of Islam. On the morning of September 13th, Gobi left Las Vegas reassured by a nurse that Tupac was improving. 13% better, she said. Hours later, on the drive back to Los Angeles, he heard the news on the radio. Tupac was dead. That 13% haunts the mythology. If he had improved that morning, what happened by afternoon? Afeni Shakur reacted immediately, according to a 1997 Ebony interview. She ordered every negative destroyed, every tape confiscated. "My son's image is not a commodity," she said. For decades, it wasn't. Until now. In mid-2025, a former Las Vegas Metro Police technician anonymously delivered a high 8 tape to an independent archivist in Compton, allegedly stored in a mislabeled evidence box, BMW 750IL. The tape was verified for age via oxide decay tests and digitized. Within weeks, fragments began circulating online. Authorities have neither confirmed nor denied the chain of custody, but the tape's existence aligns with missing evidence log from the 1996 homicide file, uncovered during a 2023 audit. Analysts note that the clip, sourced from a 1990s high 8 camcorder, contains metadata consistent with analog to digital transfers around 2003 to 2005, early YouTube era. This suggests it may have circulated privately among collectors before appearing online. Forensic experts highlight 2 frames showing reflections that match the Death Row Records logo on a mourner's jacket, placing the filming within hours of Tupac's confirmed death. If genuine, the implications are stark. Either Death Row insiders secretly filmed the body before cremation, or the cremation didn't occur immediately, suggesting a private viewing or preparation took place for Afeni and a few trusted friends. Neither scenario matches the official narrative. For decades, those around him thought they were protecting Tupac. But this clip tells a darker story. That in death, someone broke that trust. Fans and investigators are fixated because this 14-second clip could rewrite everything we think we know about Tupac's final hours, his funeral, and the secrecy surrounding it. Nearly 30 years on, the mystery refuses to fade. This grainy, flickering footage reignites a fire that never truly went out. What began as a question of authenticity has evolved into a reckoning with how legends are built and how truth is buried beneath myth. Whether the tape shows Tupac's real body or a reconstruction, its existence exposes fractures in the official record. Somewhere between the hospital, the morgue, and the crematory, choices were made to preserve, document, or manipulate what the world would remember. For Afeni Shakur, truth was sacred. She wanted peace, privacy, and dignity for her son. But others in that room may have felt the pull of history was too strong to resist. If the footage is real, Tupac's death wasn't as cleanly sealed as the record books claim. There was a window of uncertainty, hours of movement, transfer, and whispered decisions. The same Las Vegas that heard him rap, "Life Goes On," may have witnessed one last violation of that promise: the filming of a fallen man whose very image symbolized resistance. Even now, as analysts debate pixel ratios and timestamps, the story remains human, about loyalty, betrayal, and the impossibility of fully protecting a man surrounded by those who loved him. The footage doesn't just reopen a case, it reopens a wound. Tupac's legacy has always thrived in the tension between truth and rumor, flesh and resurrection, man and myth. The camera that captured his final moments may have aimed to preserve evidence, but it created something more, a mirror reflecting how far the world will go to see what it was never meant to see. In the end, the tape doesn't offer closure. It offers weight. Tupac was more than conspiracies, more than the 7-day theory, more than coded messages fans chase endlessly. He was a son, a poet, a man defined by defiance. Even in death, that defiance echoes in every blurred frame, every unanswered question, every whisper insisting he is still out there somewhere, laughing at the world's obsession. Perhaps that's exactly how Tupac intended it. Not silence, but debate. Not closure, but motion. For those who watched that night unfold, for Gobi Rahim, for Afeni, for millions who still replay his words, the truth doesn't end with a video. It lives on in the echo of his voice. Expect me like you expect Jesus to come back. I'm coming, and in that sense, he already has.